Let's just dive right in. When you think of a heart attack, your brain probably jumps straight to those dramatic Hollywood movie scenes, right? Somebody suddenly clutching their chest, gasping for air, and collapsing to the floor. But here's the reality. One of the absolute most dangerous medical events you can experience actually looks nothing like that. In today's Explainer, we're unmasking the silent heart attack. It's this hidden, insidious threat that literally doesn't trigger any of those classic, dramatic alarms we're all conditioned to look for. And honestly, that's exactly what makes it so incredibly difficult to detect if you don't know the subtle warning signs.
It's actually shocking just how common this hidden threat is. Think about this. In the US alone, there are an estimated 805,000 heart attacks every single year. But out of those, a staggering 170,000 are completely silent. That means hundreds of thousands of people are just going about their day, experiencing a severe cardiac event, and they have literally no idea. A lot of the time, they don't find out until way later, when further testing reveals the terrifying truth.
So what makes a silent heart attack so incredibly dangerous? Well, by definition, it's an attack that produces absolutely zero noticeable classic symptoms. You aren't getting that textbook chest-clutching agony. And because it just slips completely under the radar, people naturally don't seek treatment. Without that treatment, this silent event causes massive, undetected damage to the cardiac muscle. I mean, it can be absolutely deadly. It's basically the ultimate stealth attack on your cardiovascular system. To help us spot these sneaky red flags, here's our quick roadmap for today's Explainer. We'll cover the silent cardiac threat, the body's triage system, mechanical alarms, system overloads, and finally, a life-saving call to action. All right, Section 1, the body's triage system. This is all about an emergency resource shift. When your heart is under siege, your body essentially turns into a desperate emergency room triage center. It starts making these rapid, behind-the-scenes decisions about where to send its very limited resources. This is super fascinating and absolutely crucial to understand. If you suddenly feel bloated, maybe a bit nauseous, or you just lose your appetite out of nowhere, it might not be something you ate. It could actually be heart failure. Because the heart isn't pumping efficiently anymore, the volume of your circulating blood drops. In response, your body desperately diverts precious blood supply away from non-essential functions. Digestion? Not essential right now. It redirects that blood to vital organs like the brain, just to keep you alive. This sudden diversion of resources away from digestion is exactly what causes that unexpected bloating and nausea. Over time, it can even cause gradual weight and muscle loss. It's a huge warning sign that your body's triage center is in full panic mode. Another really big sign of this desperate internal triage is unprompted sweating. Now, obviously, sweating when it's hot out or when you're at the gym is totally natural, but if you find yourself sweating while you're just sitting on the couch or when it's freezing outside, that is a massive red flag. When your arteries are clogged, your heart has to work overtime to push that blood through. It's overexerting itself. To compensate for all that extra internal heat and effort, your body just starts sweating profusely. If you're sweating out of nowhere and it's paired with feeling nauseous or dizzy, your system is struggling big time, and you need to get checked out immediately. All that extra stress on the heart also leads directly to our next warning sign, which is excessive fatigue. The numbers on this are wild. The American Heart Association looked at 515 women who had suffered a heart attack, and a staggering 70% of them reported experiencing highly unusual tiredness right before it happened. Why? Because the heart is just constantly battling to pump blood through blocked pathways. Sure, you might just be tired from a heavy work week or a bad night's sleep, but if you're feeling deeply, inexplicably exhausted all the time, that could very well be your heart waving an early warning flag. Okay, moving on to Section 2, mechanical and respiratory alarms. Basically, your body's physical cries for help. As the cardiac engine starts to fail, physical stress triggers alarms all over your upper body. We can really group these three immediate red flags together. You've got pain in the jaw, neck, or upper back. You've got squeezing chest pressure and difficulty breathing. They might seem kind of disconnected at first glance, but they're all direct, mechanical, and respiratory cries for help from a cardiovascular system that's in serious trouble. Take jaw or neck pain, for instance. We all know chest pain is the big one, but a lot of people who've had a heart attack actually say the neck or jaw pain hit before anything else. Here's why that happens. During a heart attack, your cardiac muscle is contracting with incredible, violent force. That severe contraction sends referred aches and stresses radiating out into your surrounding bones and ligaments. So you end up with these completely inexplicable, throbbing aches up in your jaw, neck, or upper back. Now, it's really important to know the difference between dangerous chest pain and routine aches.
Heart attack pain is known as anginal or substernal chest pain. It usually feels like this incredibly uncomfortable, cramp-like squeezing sensation right smack in the middle of your chest, and it sticks around for several minutes. You have to be able to recognize that specific tight pressure and distinguish it from non-cardiac stuff, heartburn, anxiety, or maybe just a pulled muscle. If you feel that specific center chest squeeze, you've got to take action fast to prevent permanent damage.
Right alongside that mechanical pain is a major respiratory alarm, shortness of breath. Breathing is something we do completely on autopilot, right? Until it stops working properly. As our source points out, your lungs might suddenly feel incredibly heavy, or you might feel this overwhelming urge to just take rapid, shallow breaths. While it could be an anxiety or allergy thing, the underlying cause is very often a struggling heart, and this is especially common in women. It is a really scary sign of oxygen deprivation, and you should never ever take it lightly. Let's move to Section 3, System Overload and Backups. This is where we see cascading body failures. When your central pump fails, it doesn't just mess with the heart and lungs, it sets off a really dangerous chain reaction. We can group these next 4 warning signs together: lightheadedness, swollen extremities, a persistent flu, and trouble sleeping. These all mean your body's internal plumbing and neurological systems are quite literally backing up. They're failing to regulate. For example, when your heart is starved of oxygen from a blockage, it can't pump enough blood out to the rest of you. Your bodily functions start to glitch, making you feel super dizzy or lightheaded. Obviously, stress or dehydration can cause dizziness too, but if it's persistent, get to a doctor. This perfectly illustrates that plumbing backup I was just talking about: swollen legs, ankles, or even your abdomen. During a heart attack, the pump isn't working right, so gravity takes over and blood literally backs up into your lower half, causing edema or severe fluid buildup. On top of that, the weak blood flow means your kidneys can't properly flush out sodium and water. Fluid retention is actually a sign of a heart attack in about 20% of cases. If you're noticing sudden, weird swelling down there, it's a blaring alarm that your internal systems are overloaded. Here's one that usually surprises people: a persistent flu. If you catch a bug and you just cannot shake it for the life of you, pay attention. A 2018 study uncovered something pretty astonishing. Your risk of a heart attack actually spikes 6 times higher within a week of a flu infection. Now, the flu virus itself isn't what causes the heart attack, but it acts like a brutal stress test for your body. It can expose underlying cardiac issues, especially if that lingering flu is paired with a racing heartbeat or shortness of breath. The last systemic failure is totally neurological: trouble sleeping. And we are just talking about a random bad night of sleep here. There's a whole mechanical chain reaction happening. If a left coronary artery is blocked, the left ventricle gets starved of oxygen and starts malfunctioning. Your brain senses this massive emergency, and it instantly floods your system with alertness hormones: adrenaline, noradrenaline, cortisol, the whole fight-or-flight cocktail. That plunges your body into a state of wired, restless panic. So if you're spending the night inexplicably tossing and turning, your body might literally be fighting a silent internal battle. Finally, Section 4, the life-saving call to action. Because the small things really do matter. Look, understanding all these crazy physiological mechanisms and system backups is only actually useful if you do something about it. Heart attacks are still one of the leading causes of death worldwide, but the good news is we have a huge amount of power to lower our risks. It's the classic stuff, but it works: eating a healthy diet, getting regular exercise, and absolutely avoiding smoking. Just making these small, consistent lifestyle choices can drastically drop your risk of ever encountering this silent threat in the first place. But if you do ever find yourself experiencing any of these subtle signs we've talked about today, here is the absolute most important takeaway from this entire explainer. Do not mess around with minor bodily changes. If you suddenly get that unexplained bloating because your body is desperately diverting blood from digestion, or you're sweating for no reason, or your jaw starts aching out of nowhere, do not just brush it off. Do not try to sleep it off. If you suspect, even for a second, it's your heart, call 911 immediately. Fast medical intervention is quite literally the only way to prevent permanent cardiac damage or death. It could save your life. So, I'll leave you with this one final thought to chew on. Your body has an incredibly sophisticated built-in alarm system, but as we've seen, it doesn't always ring loudly. Are you actually paying attention to your body's silent internal alarms, or are you dangerously holding out for a Hollywood heart attack that might never even come? Stay alert, listen to your body, and whatever you do, don't ignore the silence.